Hi guys, welcome back to the Sober Confession. And you can say this with me, where we converse and confess with a sober mind. I'm so sorry guys for being quiet, but I have been cooking something great for you in the background. I've been getting people who are able to share their story. And please, if you are out there and have any story on depression, because this is a series we are doing, and you feel like sharing your story, you feel like this will help someone, please send me a DM on our Instagram page at the Sober Confession. Please don't forget to follow us as well and send in your other questions or concerns. Our very special guest today is Moses Mpanga, a clinical psychologist and a mental health advocate and practitioner. He is the brains behind Mindness Uganda. Just go and Google that right now and find out more about what they do. They're doing very amazing things and helping with the mental health issue in Uganda. Hi Moses, how are you doing?
I am all right. I'm happy to be here. How are you doing, Jenny?
I'm amazing and very excited to learn from you. I hope I introduced you in the best way I can.
You did an amazing job. Behind Uganda, which if they Google right now, they're likely not to find it, and the reason is because it only got approved at the beginning of this a program that I term as chess literacy clinics, and I'm dealing with children from 4 years.
Okay.
Abstract thinking, building of executive functioning. Those are the areas that I'm actually trying to parenting. I run a Facebook page called the Parenting Guide. So for those who can't look out for me to pay for my services, they can get them for free through my online channel.
Wow, that's nice. I can see you're catering for most of us who can't afford. But I'm wondering why you have not included us in these chess literacy clinics. I won't mention my age, but it's above 19 years, definitely.
Not to bite off more than you can chew, so I could not take on every single person in one go. However, I intend to come back for these people. And you know why? I am actually taking them on, although passively. Because when I have the 4 to 19, they don't bring themselves involved. I make sure I engage them. The reason why is because chess is like swimming. You cannot learn without practicing. So that means the child is with me, then abreast with the moves and all that. So that means I need to have the parents on board.
I've always known chess to be for very intelligent people. So it's amazing that you are actually working with children on this.
And you'd be amazed.
I forgot to
be very intelligent.
I would. One day I'll come for these clinics. Thank you very much for making time for us today. So first of all, would you rather live in this time or in the 90s when there was no social media to expose our happiness and grievances, or you'd rather live in today's time where we have access to all this information on the internet?
Jenny, we are on social media right now. I do not know how I would have gotten to know you if there was no social media. So I would rather live in these times because I only know you virtually, and I know you that much. Before now, it would mean that this interview would never have been there, would never have happened.
Oh, okay. So I guess your answer is you would rather be in this age. Okay.
You got that right.
Okay, that was a very nice comeback, by the way. I can't even ask further.
Yes, it's 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0 indeed. Okay, so what advice do you have for young people in this day that are under so much pressure from what they see on social media? Like, how do they keep up their mental health? How do they keep their mental health in check with so much pressure from their peers, showing off their glossy lives on social media, and yet themselves, they are not being at par with their peers? Yeah.
Yes, that's an amazing question. One, cut your coat according to the cloth that you have, and then stay true to yourself. You know, there's so many things others can do, and you don't have to be dragged into others are doing because they're doing them. You need to be ready for them. You know, I am that person who will say that allow yourself to be an outlier. You do not necessarily need to blend in. You know, do what is right, but you don't necessarily have to do things to blend in. If what needs to be done doesn't necessitate you to blend in, but you feel it is the right thing to be done in accordance to your virtues and values, go right ahead and do that. And I think it's also important to stay true to our emotions and feelings, because that way we are able to say, something isn't right here. You know, I need to take care of myself. You know, I have dealt with people who have maybe convulsion or any of those other illnesses where people get to lose their consciousness. And this is what I have learned over time. They learn that I am actually about to collapse. So let me move to a safer environment, so that if I collapse, I do not land in fire or in hot water or in, you know. So if this can get into mental health, you know, one can tell I am about to have, there's a breakdown coming through, you recognize it, and then you take yourself out of that environment that might get you into a very bad situation. Because, you know, illnesses usually do not start as mental illnesses in most cases. You know, there are little stresses here and there, then they become chronic stresses over time. And it's from chronic stresses over time that now we develop mental illness. So the exposure to bad situations over time is what leads people to mental health issues. But at the beginning, mental health illnesses or challenges or problems. But at the beginning, we just have issues, mental health issues that we can deal with. But if not attended to, they become mental health challenges or problems. So be in touch with yourself. You know, identify that I am doing bad right now, I need help, or I need to take myself out of this environment. And then also I have learned that it is important for people to come through to mental health practitioners instead of being the one that is going to take everybody else's problems. Recommend somebody to a practitioner, to a professional who is going to know how to help them, rather than thinking that you're going to take it up yourself. That's where the mental breakdowns in most cases happen. So
Does
young
that
people
come to us as friends, like when someone comes to talk to you about something and you recommend them to probably Moses? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yes, it would be an amazing thing. Otherwise, instead of you venting for yourself, you're going to have other people offload onto you, and eventually you're going to expose yourself to not only your own issues that need to be dealt with, but others, because you do not have the training.
But you know, Moses, in that case, if a friend came to me and wanted to talk to me and I tell them, I think you should talk to this person, sometimes they would take it in a bad way, thinking we just don't have time for them. So how should we handle those situations?
Yes, amazing. That's an amazing question, because then it brings me back to something that most people do not have an idea about. You know that you can have what we call mental health first aid. You know, so definitely, you know, if something happens if an emergency happens to one person or two, before they are rushed to where they can receive real, tangible help, you know, there is some sort of first aid that they are given. It's the same thing. There is first aid when it comes to mental health. You know, one, you need to listen to somebody who is speaking to you non-judgmentally. Lend them your ear. You know, allow yourself to listen to them. It goes a long way. You know, so you do listen to people instead of putting them off or dismissing them off to, I know a Moses who can help you. Then this might not necessarily be helpful. Listen to people, and after listening to them, understand them from where they are. You know, not from where you are. Because from where you are, somebody is overreacting, somebody isn't coming off the way they're supposed to come off. It's because you're trying to understand them from where they are. But are you able to travel and join them where they are so that you can travel they are to help them understand or get out of where they are, through listening, and then eventually you can propose somebody or you meet somebody, but it's not the first thing that you do start with. There is mental health first aid.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and for this we don't even need a first aid kit. So all we have to do is lend a listening ear and a kind heart, and then recommend someone. And for some cases where people refuse to go to a therapist or talk to a therapist, which will bring me to one of my questions anyway, is it a good idea to call the therapist and tell them, can you reach out to this person and talk to them? I think they need your help. Do you think it's a good idea?
I would not think it would be both a good idea and a bad idea. Good idea depending on the therapist that you've reached out to, because if you reach out to there are people, if you reach out to, they might not be in position to live where they are, to find you where you are,
Okay. Yeah.
You not blame in some cases because for instance, if somebody was brought to me and they are trying to battle an addiction, but they've been dragged to come to me, it is likely that they might not deal with their addiction regardless of how much help I give them, until they're able to gain insight. So the most important thing here is for people to cannot drag them to come to me. So even when I do, when you call me and then I reach out but they do not have insight, it might not really be helpful. So people have to have insight to have to want to come to me, not rather me having to move to them. They might not see the usefulness of my services to them. So that might be, it might not be a good thing for you to suggest that to give me the number and then ask me to call them or reach out to them. That's the closeness, proximity, so it feel a bit like I'm infringing on their, privacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
From you.
Okay, so that comes to whenever someone comes to talk to us and we suggest that, there's this Moses I know who you can reach out to, then you just add the magic words whenever you're ready. So,
never.
Yeah, I guess I think I'm also going to become a practitioner after these lessons that you're giving us. But basics. There are basics that we can share. For instance, for you to do to be able to recognize or identify somebody who has a mental health challenge or somebody has a problem. You can always be able to tell and then help out even before they come through. Sometimes it goes a long way. You saying, "Hey, I am." If it's a friend of yours, you don't say, "Are you okay?" "No, I'm not okay." "Okay, I'll pray for you." Sometimes a prayer with action, not just a prayer. Those are things that you can do without having to have my training. Yeah, that's true. So having you, I know that will be a whole long topic of maybe the signs and symptoms that someone is having issues with their mental health. Yes, I don't think we can share that today, unfortunately, but we shall have a different podcast on that, definitely. Okay. So how does one prioritize their mental health before their ambitions, aspirations that might cause a lot of stress?
I beg your pardon?
How does one prioritize their mental health before their ambitions? These things can cause a lot of stress, like work, all the goals that you have to meet and all that.
So importantly, Importantly, it is important for people not to bite off more than they can chew.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of mental health issues that come from inability or the feeling of inadequacy on our part. When you feel inadequate, when you feel less important, that itself is likely to drive you into mental health issues. You start developing what we call imposter syndrome. Usually imposter syndrome is you being in a situation or in a position, and you feel less. You feel you should have more than what you have achieved, or you feel like what you have achieved is not does not amount, or you start thinking, I'm less than what I have achieved, and therefore if I am less than what I have achieved, this can't be me doing this, not on me, but I cannot accomplish this. So and usually that comes from the fact that people have less belief in themselves. If you have less belief in yourself, it means that you will have achieved, and therefore that goes straight into how you are feeling. Wellness is your emotions. Now here you are telling yourself you are holding all these there is what we call cognitive distortions, where you find a person they can look at what they've achieved, they can look at the thoughts that they overgeneralize things in their life. For instance, you view a negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. But and that's what we call a cognitive distortion. Are you able to allow yourself think through that and then do realistic or logical buildings of the distortions, of the mental distortions that you have, so that you can give yourself credit? Because if you can give yourself credit, then you're going to nourish your mental capability. You're going to see yourself as somebody who can achieve, somebody who can accomplish, rather than a failure in life. The person that you see in the mirror, the person, are you appreciating that person, or you're waiting another person to do appreciate that person? It is important that you do appreciate that person for anybody else to be able to appreciate you, or for you to appreciate another person or something else out there, because you cannot drink from an empty cup. So if you've not nourished yourself, there is absolutely nothing for you to give or for you to eat, to enjoy, both innately and outward.
Okay, but for the imposter syndrome, don't you think that most people have it? Because they say don't blow your own trumpet. So when someone comes and says, oh, I feel like you've achieved so much at your age, or you've done this, and you're like, no, come on, it's because maybe I had the time, it's because maybe I had this and that. Is that part of imposter syndrome as well?
That is part of imposter syndrome, and I think when it comes to Africa, it could be worse because of our culture. Our culture, we are raised not to, we are raised in a way that if you say things about yourself, you're not being humble. But you see, if I say I am a man when I am a man, if I use a small example right here, you tell somebody that you meet, and then you tell them, whoa, you look amazing, you are smart. Usually the responses back here at home are, you're lying. Oh, you're lying.
The accuracy in that, yeah.
But you see, if there is something that I have, that others have noticed about you, and they're giving you feedback about you, take it in, appreciate it, love it, let it sink in, and work on it to make it even better, or to move further from where you are, rather than spending time convincing yourself, no, that can't be me, no, I am not that good, no, I did not have time, no, those are things you keep killing yourself, you keep stepping over the things or the abilities or the character.
It's going to be a really hard thing for people to adapt to that kind of culture where, that affirmative behavior, because as you've said, in Africa, that's how we are raised. But I guess for people, if this is a start for people who will listen to this, I guess they'll change their ways and they'll start accepting positive feedback, and also keep encouraging themselves in the mirror that they can, they are amazing, they've done great things and all that.
Let me have a simple example with you here, in line with imposter.
Okay.
Yes. What amazing things would you say about yourself unapologetically right now?
I'm on the spot. Okay.
The things you have achieved.
The things I've achieved. I would say I'm intelligent. I grasp things very fast. When I set my mind to do something, I always get it done. Yes, I'm a go-getter. I'm proud of the the level of education that I've gotten so far. Reached a point of satisfaction. I feel like for my work experience, I have learned so much. It has taken me to so many places, and I'm so proud of what I've achieved in my years. I can't believe it's me saying all these things about myself, but yes, it feels different.
What have you learned? An amazing thing, and I think you are a happy person. I think I could be wrong, but looking at the picture that comes when I join this app right here, the picture, the smile that comes off it is telling of the person, and what have you been saying good things about yourself,
Nothing. Yeah.
Does it make you arrogant?
No,
it doesn't, but it gives you some kind of satisfaction in there, being in touch with the good about you without being yet at the same time maintaining your humility as a person. So it goes a long way. That is one way of dealing with the imposter syndrome. I thought I would slide.
No, I really like that. That was a good one, because I would never have said those things or even imagined them in my head, because our problems here in Africa. I guess it's not only in Africa. I guess it's just something we tell ourselves, that we should not say out some of these things loud. Okay. So what advice do you have for people who are struggling to keep themselves sane in the midst of this superficial world, except biting what they can chew?
Except and chew. One, I think it's important for people to allow themselves think if they are faced with any kind of situation that they feel is beyond them. And this is me doing that right now, because the question that you have asked is a tough one, but I'm allowing myself to think through it by responding this way.
Okay.
So I think thinking goes a long way, because then you give yourself time to know what needs to be done in a given environment, and having said that, I would request you to ask me that hard question again so I can think more on it.
Okay, what advice would you give to someone struggling to keep sane in this very superficial world, from the social media that you love?
Okay, make friends.
Okay.
And it does not matter what your personality is, whether you're introverted or extroverted, we are all capable of making friends, because even introverted people, in their introversion, there are people who would understand them, and there are people who they can actually get to talk to. It goes a long way having somebody to, share whatever it is that you have on your inside, So go ahead and network from your comfort. I'm not asking that go out and speak to everybody, and I'm not asking go out and make such a number of friends, but from your comfort as an introvert and as an extrovert, make friends that you're comfortable with, so you can have people to share issues with. But then allow yourself to think like I said earlier, and this might go as far as taking nature walks. This might sound cliche, or sometimes these are some of the things that might sound like white people things. I do not know about it that way, but these are things that allow you to to give yourself time alone. Do the nature walk, visit a place, exercise, because when you do exercise, there is a hormone that is released, that is a stress hormone that is released, that comes off you, called cortisol. It comes off. You are able to put the stresses, which if they pile and become chronic, they can develop into depression. But if you do exercise, you take all that off. I have had circumstances or many situations where people think that exercising is only for the weight, but when you do exercise, it helps the body give off the right chemicals for you to be able to nourish your well-being, your wellness, so it goes a long way. Talk to a friend. When Jenny calls you and reaches out to you, and she's asking you to be a part of a topic that you're comfortable with, come through.
Yes, guys, I hope they're listening to that. That's a strong point, by the way.
If you have the time, come through. Here I am. I've cut the world around me and enjoying this because I'm into it. So I'm delivering in here. And this gives me peace of mind. When I'm done with this, I will feel like I have contributed, to the wellness of one person or two. And it will be innate satisfaction. Do the things you love to do. Because once you have done something that you love to do, but then how are you going to do something that you're not being able to identify it? Identify the things you enjoy and jump right into them. Do them. And this goes a long way. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that great advice. For free, by the way. So I've had some people are afraid to open up to therapists because they feel like they'll become so dependent on the therapist, and on top of being costly, of course, it might lead to like a vicious dependency cycle. What do you have to say about that?
There is some truth in that. There is some truth in that. But
I'm glad that you're being honest, but yes.
But it also depends on the therapist that you're seeing, because usually in my practice, I use what we call participatory approach. I do not work for my clients, I work with them. So when I do work with them, it means that I have empowered them for us to do things together. And when we are doing things together, it means that we are trying to eradicate the possibility of dependency. We do develop goals, we do develop objectives, which will be accomplished by you under my guidance or follow-ups. And I do give spaces in between. I can give a fortnight, I can give a month, I can give 3 months, depending on how we are moving on. So this allows you time. It allows you time for you to be able to know that, hey, the greatest healer here is myself. This guy is a helper. But if you do not get that, then it is likely that you're not going to be allowed your autonomy to do things, because it's very likely for you to think I am an expert, and I never put myself in that position of an expert. Because if I do put myself in the position of an expert, it will mean that I know you more than you know yourself. That's a lie. If you must call me an expert, then we are two experts, me and yourself. And therefore, as two experts, we need to jump together on whatever it is that we need to deal with in your perspective that is bothering you.
Okay, so the key to this is just get someone who you work with through the healing process. And if you feel like you're depending so much on only what they're saying or giving you, then that's a red flag.
It's a red flag. Yeah, just make sure in everything you do, you're empowered to also do things yourself.
Okay.
For instance, there is what we call CBT. CBT is cognitive behavior therapy. Now, under cognitive behavior therapy, we have what we call cognitive therapy, where you focus on identifying challenging, and these thoughts of an individual. If you do identify those, throw them back to the individual. Then reason through them with the individual. The individual is going to, okay, this is where my distortions are. Now, under behavior therapy, for instance, focus is on confronting underlying fears. For instance, you fear heights.
Yeah.
If you fear heights, we are going to, go through systematic desensitization for you to, start thinking of heights in a different way. Can I do that alone? No, I'll have to do it with you. And then in the end, climb the first level with you, the second one, the third one. At some point, you'll have to climb the remaining ones yourself, while I am somewhere watching. As long as we are both sure you are safe, that goes a long way.
So are you saying if someone has like a fear of heights, because I think I do, because I can't do something like bungee jumping, however exciting it seems, does that mean I have a problem and I should be helped through it until I can do that?
I don't want to say you have a problem, because
it's okay, you can tell me.
For me to say you have a problem, I should ask more than what we've talked about for me to be able to tell that you have a problem. But I know that people have phobias, which phobias they can actually deal with. Did you know that there is what we call androphobia, fear for men? We also have acrophobia, that is the fear for heights. We have gynophobia, the fear for women, but these are things that can be dealt with. Agoraphobia, the fear for public speaking or social gatherings, but these are things that can actually be dealt with through systematic exposure, because it is mental, it is in the brain, and it can be dealt with.
And you see, these are some of the things we didn't know about, because so many people are afraid of public speaking, like they literally go and shake, or they just can't do it. And we actually don't know that you can get help for this and be helped through the process until you can do something like this. This is something new I've learned. I also didn't know about that anyway. Yeah. But
I don't want to be misunderstood, Jenny. There are some acceptable fears, I can have a fear in public, but it's not yet phobia, because at every point, everyone will have some kind, before speaking in public, at some point, every single person. So there's that acceptable fear or anxiety,
Yes, which me and you have definitely, and most people do. But I think some people, of course, have this serious issue and they don't know that they can be helped through it. Yes. So that is something I've also learned, and so much more. Okay, so Moses, what tools can you empower me and the listeners with to cope with anxiety, depression, and if you feel the onset characteristics, what can we do to pull ourselves out of the sunken place, especially if we are able to recognize the signs that we might be struggling with these issues?
Well, first of all, you will need to know the signs. You will need to know that I'm actually undergoing this. So you will need to know if I am sad. I'm all the day, most of the day, and it's been 2 weeks. Could be depression. Okay. Now, if you are to recognize that and see that, then you're going to be able to tell, oh, I have a problem, because you will not deal. You are aware that it is a problem, and partly this is what Mindness Uganda is here for. Normalize mental health conversations. When we do normalize mental health conversations, people are able to wait. I have this issue, and wait, there is treatment for this. because you
Yeah.
have been able to join those spaces where you're able to know. People don't know that they have issues, and if they don't know they have issues, nothing can be done about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't have a problem, if I feel I don't have a problem, what am I going to do about it? Nothing, because
true.
it's not a problem. But there is a loss as well. For instance, you realize you are married, and as a married person, you start realizing that, wait, I can't enjoy this anymore, and it used to be an amazing, it might not be because of something your husband or your wife is doing. It could be something that is within you. It could be thinking, wait, I am a bad person at this. I used to have and now I don't have the interest. Then something is wrong. Okay? So are you able to recognize and keep in touch with yourself? Like I told you at the beginning, your emotions, your feelings, keep and stay in touch with you.
Okay. And so the first step is identifying. Then is the next seeking for help, or
do you need to seek for help after you've been able to to identify? Seek for help. Now the help might not necessarily be from a therapist.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah,
it could be from Jenny, because we all have bosom friends, close friends to us. Those ones we don't think will judge us.
Yeah.
Speak to those people. Then normalize looking or seeking for therapists. Normalize that. We are here. Hello? We are here.
Yeah, we hear you.
Looking for therapists. It goes a long way.
But the fear is there's this thing that people have about therapists that they're so expensive. So most people restrain from actually seeking for that help. What would you say about that? Is there a cheaper option? Are there discounts? Is there a season where there are discounts? Can we negotiate the payment? I mean, encourage people to get some of these services. Yeah.
Yes, I have had a lot of help from my grandmother. I have had chats with my grandmother, and I have enjoyed speaking and listening to her while she shares how things were done, out there. But I'm not saying go to your grandmother, but I'm saying it could be an option. Those people are non-judgmental.
Yeah.
Non-judgmental. But having said that, read if you're able to read. Now I know that even when I talk about reading, there are people that I do leave out, the illiterates, but there is reading. Sometimes there's a whole lot of things that you need to learn. Find yourself a copy of The School of Life that was written by Elaine de Botton. There's a lot that you're emotional. Once you're able to identify your emotional note, untie it, and then start dealing with it. It's not as small as you think, So reading goes a long way, But then reaching out to communities. For instance, we have something we call Friends at the Bench in the slum communities, where we do give basic counseling skills to elders within the community and leaders within the community to be able to speak to young people or peers speaking to peers, after they've been given basic information or knowledge on how to, help others. And there are cases that can be done on pro bono within the communities for people who cannot afford to come for my services.
Oh, okay, that's very encouraging. So definitely, I think reading would be a cheaper option. Though some people, when they're really depressed or their mental health is not in check, they are not able to even focus and read. So I guess this is a culture we should just encourage ourselves to do.
But don't wait.
Keep reading. Don't
wait until things are bad, Jenny. Don't wait until things are bad. Recognize, your mental wellness before it becomes mental illness.
Okay.
recognize it, deal with it before it's too late.
Okay, that's a good take home. So my next question is about social media. So like a lot of people find themselves addicted to their phones, always refreshing the timeline. Are you able to explain the reasons for this compulsion? Like, why are we not comfortable just sitting and living in the moment, and instead have that constant need to refresh our social media timelines?
Okay. One, social media is both good and bad. So we need to acknowledge the advantages that come with it. But you see, we now to know of drug addiction, pornographic addiction. Now we have internet addiction. So the moment to help you, what used to help you now turns into an addiction. It is as well as not useful. But you see, usually people do not know how to detox. I have dealt with people that have mental health issues like bipolar, and one of the things that I've talked about that are turning out to be helpful is detox, phone detox. If you can go to your bedroom and it's time for you to sleep, and you go to leave the phone out of that room. If you are eating and having a meal with people, make sure your phone is off you, is in silent, and is out of sight for you to be able to engage in what is current at that particular time. Failure to do that, most of the times, people are buried and cut off from everything else that is happening around them. And what would have been good now turns out to be wrong, because now people start normalizing disconnection.
Yeah.
You are existing somewhere, but two of you in that same place are disconnected, and you have normalized it as something that is right. Now, I am a kind of person who will not tell you to get off social media. No, I will not say that. Stay on it. But are you able to give yourself periods that you say, I am on phone now, I am on social media now? Besides, I am not. I have seen people who have lost jobs, because of social media, and yet I have seen people thriving because of social media. So it is in striking a balance. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you what the balance is. I'll just let it at that. When you go to, and the guy tells you, you will hear it when it wants another gear, then you engage. That's the point. That's the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a new one I've learned, like detoxing. I thought that was only for our body health, but that's also for mental health. That's a new one. I guess most of us have this issue of internet addiction. Like, we need to admit it, and we shall find a balance, as you said, in between somewhere. We'll strike that balance. Okay.
It would be amazing.
Okay, so would you say that talking to a therapist like you uncovers wounds that might lead someone to spiral further worse? Do you think do you believe that people can actually heal from past traumas by talking to a therapist?
Oh, yes, and this is how PTSD is actually healed. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, and we usually go back and visit the event that happened, the trauma that happened. Do you know that the issues, the bad experiences that happened to us when we are young come back as ugly truths later on as adults? And therefore, they lie in your unconscious. If somebody is able to help you get in touch with your unconsciousness, it goes a long way. Because most people are wherever they are, and they're going they are going through, or they're hating whichever way they are hating without even knowing the genesis of that hate. But now a therapist helps you get in touch with, and once you're in touch with your unconsciousness, you are a master. If you're able to get that, you are a master. You're not going to go around telling everybody how bad men are because of one particular father that was in your life before all these other men. Don't allow people to pay for other people's mistakes. When you do talk to a therapist, they help you identify that and be in touch with that. I have what I call my father's legacy. In my father's legacy, I help people realize the things about their fathers that they do remember, the things about their fathers that they would want to pass on, the things about their fathers that they wouldn't want to pass on.
Okay.
During their own parenting. But that's me helping people get in touch with their unconsciousness. Once I've done that, I leave you, I've empowered you, you can be a better person to deal with things yourself.
Okay, that's nice. So what are your tips for keeping and maintaining a positive mindset?
For keeping?
And maintaining a positive mindset. What tips would you give us as we close this podcast for keeping and maintaining a positive mindset? You know how nowadays, I don't know, like,
deal with your distortions, Jenny. For instance, right there.
Yeah.
Right there where you said something and then you went off a little there.
For example, what could I call it? The comments we get from social media, physical interactions, negative feedback. Sometimes people don't know how to take that in, so it affects them long term. And sometimes,
why?
Do I know? No. I definitely don't know why it affects them.
Jenny, it affects them because I am going to say something, and when I say that something, it is on me, not on you. It's a representation of me, not a representation that is annoying you, that is pissing you. I have my own problems and issues, and therefore I am putting them on you. And when you do react, I have succeeded at doing that because that's what I wanted to get on the other part. When you do talk about social media, do you realize how much easier it is for me to be on my keyboard and type things behind my screen when I'm not looking at you? And I could be dealing with my social anxiety. I could be dealing with my low self-esteem behind here, but I cannot face you and then do that. But I've said those things, you have consumed them word for word, and they are not a representation of you. I've had amazing reply, but it goes like, what hurt you?
Yeah.
And they get off. So sometimes it's about the other people. It's not about you, darling. Whoever is listening, it's not about you sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should just block that out, because we've had this over and over again of how people who comment or say bad things are projecting their bad energy, their hurt feelings onto us so that we can feel the same way. But it's sad that people don't actually. It's easy to say, but not easy to do. Yeah?
Maybe the word blocking would be wrong, because sometimes those people are being truthful. Let's be honest. Sometimes they're saying things
this
and those
balance, this balance
is
now really hard.
Yes,
Driving instructor B.
And then you look back and actually physically a whole lot of people have told you that same thing. Then probably you need to get out of start working on things bothering you.
Okay.
And I think this is why I do give feedback. When I have group sessions, I do give feedback. I have a feedback session where everybody around is going to write something about everybody around in terms of their weaknesses and their strengths. And the paper, I write different names of everybody around so that everybody around gets feedback on themselves, and the only person who doesn't write on the person that they're writing about. So that way you have what everybody around you thinks about you, you take it with you and go think along it. If something has appeared on a given paper of you more once, then probably you could need this.
Yeah.
So sometimes that needs to be worked on.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Moses, for teaching us. I can say I have been in class. I've learned so many different things in cognitive distortion, internet addiction, and so much more. So could you please give us your sober confession, just as the culture of this podcast goes?
Sober confession. A long time ago, I was going to the 9th floor of worker's house.
Okay.
And the lift stopped, and I got in. As I got in, there is a coming out. Then it closes to go to another level. Unfortunately, the man who was coming out of it had messed it. Probably through he could have released air or something. And then it goes to the next level. And when it goes to the next level, I'm still buried into that. And 3 ladies. And when they do enter, they are all showing a sign that, hey, who does that? Why would you do that? Why would you fight? That's what I'm telling myself, and they start giggle and they get out. When they do get out, I never got a chance to say I did not do this because they never asked. But I knew that's what had happened. And as fate would have it, I met them another time. So I think the way girls save people in their phones, I could have been saved as the fact that number, or if I had ever given them my number. But that's, I think, how I have been stored in their heads. But then again, that is a thought which too could have an effect, and has had an effect on me up to now, because this happened a long time ago, but I still think about it freshly. And I tell myself, what do people think about me?
But Moses, would you ask if you were in their situation, would you ask that other person, it's a stranger, would you ask them that, hey, have you, or how could you, would you ask that?
No, I wouldn't, but I wish they asked. So much problem. I really needed to clear my name. That it will never come. I need to accept and take the fatter.
Yeah, take your name the way you saved on their phones, or take whatever they say. But as you said,
we never got to that. But I think in their heads that
you see, this is what this is how we come to mental wellness. We need to avoid these thoughts. Now I need to advise you.
I appreciate. I can take it as well.
We'll have a session after this, don't worry. Okay, thank you so much, Moses, for allowing to come on our podcast and share all these insights with us. We are very, very grateful. Even those 3 girls might have listened to this and we've cleared your name, imagine. So these are some of the advantages of this virtual social media that we have. So is there anything else you would want to say before we close today's episode?
I would want to say that thank you for trusting me. It goes a long way, and I don't take it for granted. And I would also want to say in a little prayer, may God keep your work amazing and grow you a lot much more bigger than you are, and may whoever listens to this enjoy or pick something from it, or learn anything about their wellness, and may this make people feel better for themselves and for those around them. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Moses. You've come with so much positivity. We shall definitely have you again. Thank you, everyone else who has joined in to listen today. We hope you had a great time with us.